this one went to.
Baby.
Is it recording already?
Yes.
But I'm sitting here cussing. Really?
Yes.
So it has to be
He sees
facing
this
that
live.
way? Well.
Ixnay on any language, Abe Matthew. So sorry if anyone heard any of that nonsense.
Yeah, really. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize she was doing it. Hey, this is Matt with Sullivan Family Homestead. Lord, she just set me up on this, and I didn't want to go live, but my phone is being ridiculous and will not save any videos. So this is going to be a continuation of the video I just shot. Hopefully y'all get to see that one because I ain't doing it again. But to recap, I pulled apart the steering column yesterday to troubleshoot the headlights and the turn signals and to find out why nothing's working. I'm good, thank you. Don't give me any more surprises. So I pulled that all out, and the ignition switch itself, I pulled it out to see if there's anything going on with it, anything fishy that I might need to know about beforehand. And it was a good thing I did because the main ignition wire going back to the starter had some bare wire on it from when they shoved it back in there and exposed some of the wire. So when I pulled it all out, I just took some heat shrink tube and fixed that back up so that it won't cause any issues. So with all that put back in and all the wires pushed back up through the underside of the dash, and now we're inside the trunk, or what I would call the engine bay on most cars, but this is a German car, so it's the trunk, or the frunk, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so like I was saying, I'm not going to do solid connections on a lot of this stuff just because it is still trial and error, and I want to make sure that what I've got going where it's going is in the right spot. So yeah, that's where we're at. So what I've done is I've taken the main red wire that comes off the ignition switch. This is 12 volt hot. Actually, it doesn't come off, it goes into it. It comes off of the light switch here. This is what I worked on last night, trying to get it back together and get it working. It was, if you've seen any of the pictures, you know that it was all corroded and nasty looking. So we got that fixed back up and everything. And this thing, it's a mess. The wires in here are ridiculous. But it's a project car, and I guess if you don't want a project car or you don't want to work on this stuff, don't buy one. Anyway, so yeah, this main wire, this main red wire, I went ahead and used a butt connector on there because I do know that's where that goes and that's what that's for. So that's a permanent, and it runs over into the headlight switch. And let's see here, another crazy one they've got going here, that it's red white, but it's actually supposed to be a solid red wire. This runs back to the starter. This black and red wire is the starter wire, so I'm going to tie these together. And actually I should probably use a butt connector on this, but I'm not going to worry about it right now because I'm going to strip this all apart again, and once I get the right color wires and stuff like that, and at least patch it back together until we can get a new harness ordered and put in that way. Like I said, I worked on this last night for a little bit, and in the pictures you could see where I've gotten the headlights and all that stuff working. One thing that when you're working on stuff like this, make sure that whenever you're working on electrical that you've got the battery disconnected. You don't want to have any surprises. You don't want to touch anything that may short out. A lot of this stuff you can't run down to O'Reilly's and buy light switches for these cars. At least I don't think you can. I haven't tried. So we've got a local Volkswagen repair shop in the next town over, and that's where I get a lot of my parts from, is from them, because they're pretty knowledgeable, and they've got pretty much everything I need. So yeah, there is 4 wires that come off that ignition switch. You've got your red, which is your positive hot. You've got your black, which is your ground. It grounds to the underside of the speedometer. It's got another ground piece that comes off it. I'm still trying to figure out where it goes. I mean to tell you, they've got things that jump off of here, and I don't even know where all they go. So then you've got the red black, which is supposed to go to the red, not the red white, and it goes back to the starter. So yeah, and then there's this gray one, which is like I would assume an accessory switch. So if you wanted to put the radio on that, you could. I'm not too sure. Like I said, I've not dealt with these cars very much, so I don't know. It's all a learning experience. So last night I worked with the headlights. I mean, we had the amber and the tail lights, but we didn't have any headlights. So, and that's what started this whole thing last night. So I figured out how to get the headlight switch off, because it's not like anything I've ever seen before. I mean, I've seen tamper-proof stuff before, and I've never seen anything like this. This little grommet right here attaches to the housing here. This goes through the firewall, through the dash, and then this little booger right here, that's got 2 little indentions in it, goes on there, and that threads in there, and that's what keeps the switch in place. And I mean to tell you, I had one heck of a time getting it off there, and I really can't tell you how I got it off there, because I'm not sure. I guess somebody was really watching me, because I had a heck of a time doing it. Anyway, so this switch hasn't been out of this car, I would say, since it was brand new. I mean, this is an original switch. And when I pulled it out, there was corrosion all the way across the top of all these terminals and everything. So I took pictures, because pictures are the best thing in the world when you're taking wiring apart, as far as trying to figure out where everything goes. So I took all the wiring off, took it into the garage, and I've got some electrical contact spray, which cleans anything electrical, cleans that stuff off. So I coated it down with that stuff, used my wire brush, scrubbed off all the corrosion and stuff like that, and sprayed it inside. Kind of got things moving around in there, because like I said, it hasn't been used, I'd say, since, well, it hasn't been used since we've had the car. I don't know how long it sat with the previous owner, so I don't know. But with that being said, I can now turn it on, and I've got headlights. Now, I can never figure out how to get the high beams to work, so I got to digging around in there some more, and I found this relay switch here is your 12 volt relay for your high and your low beams. All my diagrams showed how to hook it up, but they never showed what this little wire here, what this little guy here is. This one is your, I believe it's either your yellow and your white, or your high beam and your low beam. This black one here is the signal coming from your switch. So it comes from, let's see if I can get that in there, comes from your switch right here, travels across and goes into this, and then you've got your high and your low. So when you pull that switch on, it comes through that black and white wire, and then travels into either the white or the yellow, whichever one you've got it on, and turns it on. Well, in order to get the high beams, you've got to have I would assume, let me think about this for a minute. I believe it's just a ground. Yeah, it's just a ground. So this wire goes in through the firewall, up through the steering column, and into the turn signal switch, where there's two wires and two copper little pads. And it basically, when you pull the switch up, it makes the contact, this thing clicks, your high beams come on, you flip it again, it clicks, your high beams go off. So it's definitely a learning experience. There's things about this car that I wish I just knew everything there was to know about them, because I could have this thing done so quick. But hey, it's a project. I can take my time, I can do it right. I want to make sure that everything is right, because I don't want Hannah in this car if something's not right. So we're going to get it all put back together as good as I can for the time being. That way we know everything works. And then once we're able, we'll start buying new wiring harness, new fuse boxes and stuff like that, and put it back to original specs. That way we know for 100% certain nothing can go wrong. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's just a lot of little stuff. And as I find out more stuff, then I will let y'all know. Like I said, I worked on the headlights last night. Tonight I'm going to probably work on the turn signals and try to get those working. I had the right side working, but I didn't have the left side working, and I can't figure out why. So we're going to venture off into that, and then once I figure out how that works, or how they work, um, we'll let you know. But hopefully here real soon we'll have everything up and going, and we'll go for a little test drive and see how things are. Yeah, so with that being said, I think I'm going to get off of here and do some painstaking searching for rate wires to make sure we get them all in the right spots, and yeah, all that good stuff. So y'all have a good night, and we'll talk to you later. Well, maybe we will. If I can figure out how to shut this off. Well, that ain't it. Maybe it's in here.